Hey guys, welcome to the Blue Collar Business Podcast, where we discuss the realest, rawest, most relevant stories and strategies behind building every corner of a blue collar business. I'm your host, Sy Kirby, and I want to help you in what it took me, trial and error, and a whole lot of money to learn. The information that no one in this industry is willing to share. Whether you're under that shade tree or have your hard hat on, let's expand your toolbox. Welcome back to another episode. I am pretty pumped up for this episode of the Blue Collar Business Podcast. Today, we have a wonderful sponsor helping out on this episode, podcastvideos.com. We are in the standard room the old BCB is normally shot out of, but we are coming at you through brand new, beautiful 4K capturing cameras on the wall, a little bit different angles. Let us know what you guys think. I'm really enjoying the new look in this room. It's changed it completely. So shout out to podcast team, always innovating quickly. Shout out to Miss Brooke and the business development team here. They really are something special. But if you reach out through our website at bluecollarbusinesspodcast.com, become a sponsor, or you think somebody could be a great guest, shoot it to us. We'd love to talk to them. Today, guys, I've had a buddy drive over from just a state over. Come on, did that buddy drive over from just a state over? Okay. It's been a long day already, and you guys may already know this cat. He's pretty popular on the old TikTok. He's got quite a good size following, about 22,500.
A little over 500. I've been correcting Sy all day. It's not 22,000, it's 22,500. I worked hard for the 500.
Mr. Trent Harris of the Blue Collar Contractors out of Talala, Oklahoma. I love saying Talala, Oklahoma. But actually, we just, if you guys have been watching the Cyclone Excavation YouTube channel or our TikTok, shout out there. We just came over and had a freaking fantastic event.
That was awesome.
Dude, your yard looked beautiful.
Appreciate it.
Shop's coming soon.
Yeah, hopefully sooner than later.
If you guys haven't, go see some of the content and the main large video that shout out to Mr. Willie. Oh, Will behind the scenes, always editing and throwing YouTubies together. Well, I got to also, shout out to Estrus because, Estrus is newly on that team as well. So anyways, they'll be throwing the entire video of that day together. But, dude, tell us a little bit about you. Let's start all the way back on the intro. Where you at? Kind of bring us up to speed, and then I think we're going to laugh along the way.
There's going to be some laughs. What do you want to know?
Well, obviously, you started early. The biggest key factor about Trent is from the little bit of experience. I've only known you 2 weeks.
Yeah, that feels crazy.
It is. It really is.
It's been a couple of weeks, and I feel like we've known each other for
ever. And you're concentrated on the right things. It sounds like you've got a group of individuals that care about you. But tell us about kind of where it started, what equipment we're dealing with. We're talking excavation today, guys. I know a bunch of you guys are from the excavation and utility world, and I appreciate you guys. But we're talking in that realm today. So kind of pathway for the rest of the guys jumping in the world. I know sometimes that's not fun to talk about, but
yeah. There's a lot to it, man. To kind of skim through it, I started. There wasn't a we, and I was a one-man show. Started in high school, I think my freshman year, blue collar lawn care, and that's obviously the name that we've stuck with the blue collar all the way through.
It's been popular your guys of late, I hear.
I know, it's on your hat, it's on this screen. Golly. Oh, should have trademarked. Anyways. So we had the lawn care, and then
what year was that?
2012 probably. I started mowing.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, I was a freshman in high school when we started that. It was before I could drive. I mean, we would wheel across the street into the housing addition.
You betcha.
Start pushing a push mower around, and you got a zero turn, and never grew that into anything great big, it was just a little mowing deal, and got the skid steer. Started doing some tree work with a buddy who had just started the tree service at the time.
What was the first skid steer?
763 Bobcat. You saw it at the yard. It's still there.
The old flux capacitor issue.
That's right. When you get that high tech like that, you'll have that kind of stuff. No, so we got the little 763. We're doing some tree work. I had the diesel shop in the meantime. I went to diesel school and had blue collar diesel. And then, but my oldest was born when I was a junior in high school. And then my youngest came a few years later. Yeah, so it was everything, man. That's why I say, when people ask kind of what the story was, like, there's a lot there, because we had whatever we could do to make a dollar. There was no concept of strategy or, how to grow. It was just survive.
Yeah.
So if we had $40 in our account and then we hadn't got groceries yet.
I know, right?
It was rough, but so I had those deals going, and then I worked at a gas station for a little while.
Wow.
And I was working at the Macy's. So when I had the diesel shop and the lawn care and doing tree work, I worked at the Macy's distribution center on the weekend. So I would go in at 5 a.m. on Friday and work 3/12s Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, didn't see the light of day until Monday morning. Thursday evening to Monday morning, wouldn't see the sun. I mean, was in there from 5 a.m. till after dark, and then getting home late, and then hitting the ground running after that.
And that didn't last very long. It couldn't have. I mean,
no, it all runs together in my head. I can't really remember when one ended and the next began, but yeah, I had all that going, and
that's nuts.
Yeah, it was, like I said, whatever we could to make a dollar. I mean, whatever we could to survive. Brandy was working as well during that time. So when we started getting further into the business, I finally was like, you just stay home, take care of the girls, run the household, which is where that's where she wanted to be.
Yep.
And
most generally do.
Yeah, 100%. But that's what she wanted, and I was like, man, it was the most beneficial thing for the company for her to just do that and let me focus. Like, I know I'm not there yet, but I can make this work eventually. Like, let me just put all my energy towards this. And so anyway, she stayed home. We started focusing more on the dirt side and kind of transitioned into that, and went from the little 763, which, like I said, we still have, and now we've got whatever we've got. We got those two new skids.
Which is a Devlon.
And then that new Bobcat T66 we got here a couple weeks ago, and then that E60 Bobcat, and then the Cat 312 and the D4H, and trucks and trailers and the dump truck and just all kinds of stuff that breaks all the time. So yeah, it's always well, if I could just get to this point. You just bought more shit that's gonna break.
Yep.
That's all that
every time, big dog.
Every time. But yeah, that's kind of how we got. That's the real summed up story and kind of how we got here.
Fair enough. And over in Oklahoma, we're got a bunch of gear. What are we doing to stay busy now? We're doing pawn work. We're doing...
Yeah, so last year was when we finally started to kind of transition into more commercial work.
Why?
I may edit that part out.
Okay.
The last year part.
Okay, go ahead.
But here recently, we've started to kind of transition into more commercial stuff and trying to kind of focus more there, but still keeping the backlog of residential stuff. So driveways, pads, demolition. We love doing demos. Just typical excavation grading, and the site work, like I said, it's kind of come along. We've been on a few of those projects now, figuring it out, kind of seeing what else we need that would make stuff more efficient. The stuff that used to not be applicable to us at all, such as GPS, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now we can really start to see where it fits in. To what we
Dude, it's such a massive job.
Yeah. There's no easy way. I've had plenty of phone calls with the reps, and that's what I figured. There's no easing into it. It's safe.
That's $750. When you start making about $750 million a year, things are, if you can perfect it, you can make some good money there. That's usually 5, 6 guys. You know what I mean? Max. But there's no that's that 750 on the low end to $1 million mark on the high end. Once you get past that, admin staff, managers, project man, it starts, you don't even know which direction to go.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. Hell, I was just throwing freaking darts at the wall.
You're just going.
Trying to
you
buy.
just keep speeding up.
Literally,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to buy some of my time back, and nobody's going to care as much as myself. You know, that's what's going in my mind instead of, hey, why don't I put my mind on paper so somebody can maybe have half a clue. Anyways, that's where I'm at now. But that next jump is like monumental, and you're looking at it when you're the first 3 or 4 years, you're finally locking in some good work. People know who you are. Things are rocking and rolling. And you're like, man, I really want to do this thing. It's a $2 million a year revenue situation that you need to even get back 2 to 2.5 where you're feeling comfy again. There's not like, oh, I'll do another 100, 150 next year. Because there's so many extra assets or different equipment or whatever it is just to make that extra 100K. Well, then you need to make a little bit more to pay for the equipment that you bought for this specific job, but you didn't really need to buy. You could have rented it, but you didn't figure it that way. And man, there's so much you learn.
But that's stuff people don't see, and I haven't.
Or talk about.
Yes, absolutely. Because you just said it. I hope people kind of caught that. You can keep growing in the beginning. The earlier you are, the easier it is to grow. You know, like if you make, you know, like we did, I don't know, 40,000 and then 80 and then 200 and then 250. You know what I mean? That's easy. But, and in a way, it gets easier to grow, but you have to establish those systems or you can't anymore. You hit a ceiling where and we haven't transitioned through 1 or 2 million. You know what I mean? So we're not on the other side of that.
Yep.
Like you're talking about. But we're to a point now where I can see that, like, if we don't implement systems to help this situation, you know, you can't set up for expansion without systems.
Yo, you definitely can. I'll tell you all about it, and you will learn the hard way. Very hard way. You'll have good people leave, and then you'll be sitting there wondering why, like in your head, if you haven't put it on paper, put any systems in any place, nobody has any idea where we're trying to go.
Right.
And these guys don't even stand a chance to do what you want them to do, let alone succeed together, because nobody really has a plan. And that falls back on the leader. And dude, I grew and I doubled my gross revenue and I doubled it again and I was like, we got up and in 23 things were just out of control. Literally, I can stand here and say that. Don't get me wrong, we did a lot of work.
Yeah.
Quality was there sometimes, and I think quality started to question because of quantity. 24, we redacted, and if I would have concentrated, dude, I had people throwing things at me. My wife, i.e., hey, can we please just slow down for 2 seconds and have you put this down on paper? And what you showed me today was huge early on. 2 smaller crews running around. Equipment feels like it's everywhere when you don't, you know, every time you need it, it's not there. And you got to spend more money to move it to get to rake out 10 rocks for Miss Sally to finish up a job to get paid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't quite know where I was trending with that. But that growth and scalability is just so hard. And I was talking about your scheduling piece that you were showing me. And in the early years, bro, I didn't care about any of that.
Yeah.
I just wanted more revenue, which created more problems. And it wasn't concentrated on profitability.
Right. Well, and we're still figuring all that out.
Yeah.
I'm religious about making sure that everything's on the schedule. You know, and early on, it's like, oh, I won't forget that, because it's a big enough deal, right? If you're only doing, let's say, whatever, when you don't have that much going on, I'll remember to do that. And you will until you get busier and busier. And then now all of a sudden you're like, we just completely forgot about a $10,000 job. When used to, I wouldn't have known how to even consider doing, you know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And then all of a sudden you're like, we forgot about that. Like, that can't, you know what I mean? So everything gets put on there. Everything. When we went to that meeting this morning, I wanted to send that guy hat, the marketing guy, on the schedule. No chance I'll remember to do that.
No.
But I want to do it. You know what I mean? And so if somebody texts me, hey, we need a load of topsoil, we need a sub truck here, we need, you know, or if we're going to need sub trucks, or if one of my guys texts me and says, hey, we're going to, you know, we got too much material on this or whatever, like that's got to be put on here, because, and I can't stay sane if not. Like, I've got to be able to sit down. You saw me miss a call earlier.
Yep.
I had too much on my head at the moment to answer that phone call. Sorry, customers that are call. Sometimes I can't, even if it's not loud.
I do the same thing,
Yeah,
dude.
I'm like I'm processing. Yes, and I pull my phone. I did it for the people that weren't in the truck. As this gentleman's calling me, I go to his contact info. I see who it is, where he lives. And I'm like, oh, I remember that guy, and I add him to the calendar and to my notes before he even gets to voicemail.
Yo.
So I know I'll be able to return that call and give that my attention when I have it, but I don't at the moment. But everything gets put on there, and we follow up with it as we can.
I'm telling you, dude, you're light years ahead of where I was at in that phase of building Sycon, because it would have been the results would have been so much differently. Like, I already know, because I'm on the other side of correcting all those said issues over the last 18 months. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So kudos to you. What do you think this industry, you talked about GPS, and in this jump, what do you think, you're living it right now, what do you think the most scary thing is for a guy sitting out there just the same in your shoes in that jump? What's that first thing that you're looking at that's glaring at you that, scary's not the word, but intimidating?
There's so many things. And where you're saying they're sitting where I am, but that line gets real great. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
The guy who's thinking about buying a skid steer and getting into it versus the guy who's a year in, or
Yep.
But there's always, and Trey's always talked about this. You've talked about, it never goes away. It's never any different. It's just bigger. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I think we're all geared to, once we get to this, which is how we get here. Right?
Yep.
Because we're so driven to get to that next step. But that guy on your shoulder, it'll be all right once you get there. And then you get, we bought these new machines, man. This still blows my mind. To buy a brand new $100,000 machine, pull into the yard after it gets delivered and look at it. This last one I didn't even get out. And that's not to sound, it's just, there's so much to do, and it's so normal now. They dropped off a $100,000 machine. I pulled down to the yard, looked out the window, and went, yep, there it is. I got to go.
I know.
I got stuff to do, And a couple years ago, I laid awake at night dreaming of, one of these days I'm going to buy a brand new.
I want a new one.
Yeah. And the first one was surreal, I bought a new one. And I'm not saying but I ran all this old junk for so long and still have some old junk, that you're
if it runs, it holds a great place.
Yes,
right?
Yeah,
that's right.
Absolutely. And if we're not keeping it busy enough, we're not going to buy a new one, But
Smart, sir.
that's a whole nother topic on Newbert, because we always ran, like I said, old used stuff. And anyway, I'm not giving recommendations because I'm still trying to figure that out, honestly. We're experimenting. We're experimenting with hundreds of thousands of dollars of machines right now to see if that was the ticket. And that last one we bought, I'm like, I just added another $1,800 a month on that payment. I'm like, am I an idiot? 3 days later, my old D4H breaks down. We lose, it's just a hose. We lose a couple hours of changing a hose and a couple $100 on a hose. And I'm like, well, that came out to, I don't know, $800, and in one day.
Yeah.
And now I'm out there. I was finishing that job, so I'm out there at 9:45 at night. My wife's texting me, asking if I'm still alive. I'm like, I'm finishing this, so this thing could be mowed tomorrow, and we can stay on track.
Probably already had truck scheduled.
Yeah. And those are the times where, like I said, I'm covered in hydraulic oil in the dust, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's why I have that payment on that other stuff. So I don't know what the answer is there. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what the answer is to me at this point. What my strategy is, at least for now, it's maybe different in a month, is if we're using it and it's staying busy, especially on the compact equipment and the bigger stuff, if we've got guaranteed work and it's proven itself, just buy it new, eat it, roll on, line stuff up in front of it. The dozer, the track hoe, they're not moving that much. We had one on rent for a 30,000 pound hoe, which I own. We rented one for, I don't know, probably 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost bought a new one at that point. I was like, and this goes back to the money thing. I'm 30 days out to owe $7,000 a month on this machine, or I can finance it. And I owe $2,000 or $3,000, whatever it came out to. I don't remember, but I owe $3,500 in 30 days. And then, but I owe that 3,500 in 30 days for a long, So I ended up not, and I'm thankful I didn't, because on the back end of that, we hit winter, we hit the holidays, and everything kind of dwindled down on the big.
The decisions are so hard.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I say it all the time, sales is everything, because you can go out and do whatever you want to do as long as you can sell enough work to keep it all busy. And my problem was during those times was pulling into the yard and seeing the same machine twice. I should have thought earlier and gone, that thing don't need to be here, obviously. What am I doing? 2 weeks in a row, why is this thing sitting here half the month?
Imagine if you went back to your yard every day and you've got 2 skids and a dozer and a track hoe and trucks and trailers. Because that was me, and still is a lot of the time. We'll have skids at the yard because when we need them, we need them.
Yeah.
And the same with the big stuff. So I'm like, I'll just keep dumping it. It's going to hold value for the most part. It's a good investment for when we need it. But I finally had an epiphany of you can't grow organically like you did in the beginning of just buying more shit and working.
No, buddy.
And we did that for so long.
I did too.
And then just buy more stuff, keep working, keep going.
That's right.
And then I got to the point where I'm like, I can only sit in one of these machines.
That's it, buddy.
I'm a decent operator. I can still only run one.
That's it, buddy.
I could probably get by running 2, but you know what I mean? I'm like, why am I buying more seats? I've got one other guy. So the delegation, and I'm pretty open about that, was my kryptonite forever. Trying to maintain quality control and quantity like you were talking about. And to scale that up, I was horrible at it. Trusting my guys or guy at the time to go do what, and I'm still bad about it because I want to make sure I don't get on the slippery slope of good enough. We're getting there. It's more so on the residential side, right?
Of course.
The commercial
because you talk to that customer.
Yes.
It's your face they remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a lot of it too, just thinking out loud here, on the residential side, it's by appearance most of the time.
Right.
And I'm OCD about that. Everything's got to be meticulous, and I want to maintain that. On the commercial side, in some ways, sounds counterintuitive, it's more black and white. We're not going off look. We're going off that needs to be at this elevation.
Oh,
this needs to be cut out. You know what I mean? So there's a lot more bulk moving.
No, I do. That was my biggest struggle between residential and commercial work, empowering a team of individuals. Here's a set of equipment. Go out there and do. Well, Nancy said that she wanted the slope, not too much slopey slope, but kind of just enough slope into the sidewalk right here. And then over here, hey, go ahead and use these machines and get that done. You know how to do that.
Yes.
They don't.
Absolutely. And when you set yourself up and your guys up for failure, because you tell them what to do, and they're and you ask anybody that's around me, I'll say the same thing 200 times. We got it. And then when I come back that afternoon, I'm not fun to be around. This isn't, and I'm let down. They're let down. They're trying to. It just wasn't working. So we're ironing that out now. Like I said, we're getting to where I'm building more trust in them. I'm trying to build the backlog up a little bit more and hire another guy, another operator at the moment. But like I said, when you round the corner, and also seeing around the corner, Trey talks about this. We're talking about this all day. You're running into this right now, right? With trying to keep enough coming in, but you're one phone call away. I was talking to my plumber buddy, good friend. We bid a pretty good sized project, and then forgot about it. Just bid it, turned in numbers like we always do. Didn't forget about it. Moved on. We're trying to keep everything moving. And he calls me on 2 other little projects. I'm like, we can't get to those when you need us to, So and he goes, what are you going to do if we get that other job? I'm like, no clue, buddy, but I can't just leave the schedule open in case, you know what I mean? So trying to figure out what's next, for me, if we're on 2 months of residential stuff versus one giant commercial project, it's kind of a different set of guys, not necessarily, but, a different set of guys, different machines, GPS versus, so if you can't see around the corner, but you're one phone call away from everything completely changing,
Bro, there is so much truth to that. We were sitting in there this morning. I'm sitting here We have been a lot of work. Oh my gosh. Shout out to Dylan. He has, I think his fingers bled from keyboard strokes, especially since February and March. And but one phone call, you're talking $5 to $10 million worth of work.
Yeah.
And I'm not necessarily geared to do all of that together right now.
Right, but what are you supposed to do? Just bid one at a time and see what happened? You know what I'm saying?
Like how do you balance that? And I think that's a big struggle, and I even scale it down just a little bit. I think what you said is perfect and spot on that a lot of guys struggle with is they land that commercial job, and then when homeboy plumber or homeboy electrician that gives them 90 ditches a year at $250, $300 a pop, they're busy work.
Yeah.
He calls them. Well, he's wrapped up on his commercial job, and he's pulling his hair out and stressing out about this one particular job that's going to pay him $90K when homeboy pays you $90K throughout the entire year.
Yeah, year after year.
Exactly. And so it's that balancing act of, number one, picking the good customers, because that also helps in every category. But secondly is keep that commercial job going, but you have to find a way, whether it's working all weekend long or whether it's the evenings, pulling a mini X home and doing a couple ditches on your way home, whatever the case may be. But you've got to be, that's the key. And I can't say the key, but that is a key to moving and scaling, is doing that commercial job. And you're like, Sy, I've got 3 guys. Like, they can only work 70 hours a week. Like, they're not going to show up on Sunday. I get it.
104.
Oh, my Jesus.
104 for 2 weeks. But, that's off the record. What's labor? Will, look that up. Labor laws.
I don't have a computer, man.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Golly.
Poor Will. Will's been with us all day. Shout out to him, catching content and the behind the scenes of our day. If you guys want to go check it out, just SY-CON on YouTube, and you'll be able to see the entire day coming up. But talking commercial, you're saying that you're trending that direction. Why do you want to go commercial? Give me a couple reasons, because I've had a few excavation, well, not a few, we've had a bunch reach out. Hey man, how do I go from doing this resi work up into the commercial game? Of course, everybody wants to get into that commercial game.
It's not what it looks like from the outside.
That's what I preach on this microphone. It's like, do you know you're not seeing money for 90K in 90 days?
I had some mentors. You could say everybody but Trebo. You need to go talking about market. Come on, whip, pop a wheelie, baby. Other than Trebo, I had a few others that are like, I don't, not trying to talk me out of it, but just like, hey man, kind of watch your. I'm like, no, I don't. I hear you, appreciate it. We won't go that route. And then a few months into, we had 3 projects going at once, and then we were able to manage them with a couple guys,
Right.
But it was a lot. Like when those phone calls, they all came in within 2-3 hours of each other on the same day, and I'm like. Exactly what we were just talking
proving
about,
our point.
And it was right when I just figured out how to do all the residential stuff. We just had it perfect where we're like, this is going to be a busy month.
Yeah.
Phone rings again. And I told that, I said, I'm waiting on the next guy. And then he calls and I'm like, I don't know what to do. So we were able to get it done. But, then I saw what those guys meant. We worked for a few GCs. I won't get into that too deep.
No, God.
You've got to watch your ass.
That's a good way of putting it.
You really do, because I'm reasonable.
Okay,
is the best way to put it, right? Like and I had people don't do anything for free and don't ever do it, and I'm like, man, I hear you. You're right. I don't.
That's a tough one
too. Yeah, but I want to. When in doubt, I'll help you out, type of deal. If I'm there, you know what I mean. If I'm on site, I won't get into specifics, but. For all 3 of these GCs, we ended up in a situation where, hey, could you grab? And we're talking 30 seconds cost me no money type of deal.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But I'm like, yeah, I'll do. Well, then, of course, they see what they can take.
You bet, man.
We lost money on 2 of those jobs for 2 different GCs. I have the best relationship in the world with one of them. I'll just put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
My fault. I missed some stuff, part of it. I went into that. Yeah. Went into that. We lost a lot more money on one of the other ones. And you just got to watch yourself. Like I said, you've got to watch standing up for yourself and not letting those people, push you around,
dude.
Because they'll take everything they can get.
But I think also too, dude, is the confidence within ourselves.
Yes.
During that time, because we're like, as business owners, I was in the same set of shoes, dude. I gave the world away because number one, I just didn't know.
Yes,
I didn't know I could stick up and stand up for myself but it took me some time. Hey, let's be reasonable. Like you're talking about.
Yeah,
okay. Hey, buddy, this is my bid set. This is what you want me to do. It's not on this bid set. You haven't provided me anything differently up until this point. I understand you're working off of this set, but you never provided me that set.
Absolutely.
I don't care if the revision happened.
Absolutely.
If you ain't provided it to me, I can't price it. So I can't tell you how many times revisions just come through. Hey, we just need to change this up. Oh, okay. Okay, no big deal, man. Yeah, we'll just move this, add a couple materials, send a change order, and never see it again.
Yeah.
They'll never pay it because... Yep. Oh, well, you just did it. That was just part of the contract, man.
Yeah.
And we can go off into that, dude. I've been burned
But they know
tens of thousands.
They know how to muddy the water so bad. Because when I talked to people, why didn't you just do that? I'm like, I can't. Well, I would have told them I did. They said no. They know what they can. They know how. You know what I mean?
They've been playing this game longer,
yes,
brother.
Absolutely. And they've got more time and money to play the game.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have, if I've got iron on a site, and it's especially if it's not close to home, and we've got machines there, I can't sit there with 4 guys and 4 machines for 5 days waiting on a change because they're just going to wait. And so at that point, we ran into this where I'm like, they're calling me, and I'm like, just do it. I don't, it's going to cost us $5,000 more. Just do it. And then, hey, is that coming through? Oh, yeah, we're working on it. Yeah, and then once you get done with the next project, or halfway into the next project, oh yeah, no, that check comes in light. Hey, what about? Oh no, it didn't get approved. Cool. Because you knew I would start this one.
You couldn't let me know for the last 75 days while I was waiting on this.
You knew damn well.
Oh well, I just found out yesterday on the check cut.
Yep. They know how to muddy the water just enough to drag you along, but they don't give a shit.
No.
That relationship could have been so much better.
Hands down.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm going out, I don't know. I'm doing whatever I possibly can to make everything right, and to where you're out nothing, and to where you call me on the next one, which they did, and they do. Hey, we get a ton of invites from all these same GCs when we get done working with them. That right there speaks to what I need to do. Yeah, we got some stuff to figure out. We always will.
Yep.
We're always going to have stuff that we're like, we got to learn something here.
Every day, dude.
Yeah, that's just the way it goes. But we will see it through, and it will be right, even if it takes us a little bit longer. I've got to eat, a little bit more money on it.
Yeah, I just want to jump on something you said that I think could be a world of change for a lot of guys. Because don't feel bad. I mean, I was the exact same way. He said, "Do it," and I go home, tell Mama. When that check comes and she goes, "Hey, where is this extra money you said we billed for?" And I'm looking at her and go, "Well, Timmy, the project manager, let me call him up." Well, that sucker don't answer his phone because he's off on the next project. He don't need you no more.
No.
But when you said, "Hey, man, just do it on the phone," my response after a couple of times was, "Hey, brother, just shoot that into an email to me, and we'll go ahead and get jumped on this."
Yeah.
As long as I've got written approval from somebody above, it can stand up legally down the line. But phone calls mean nothing.
Right.
Text messages can mean a lot, nothing like an email.
Sure.
But just, hey, man, and I know a lot of you guys are in the resi world. They're like, oh, well, these guys are emailing. I understand the commercial side. It's all about email. But on the resi side, text message, you've got to. Like, hey, I totally want to do this for you, and we're going to tackle it, no issues. Will you just shoot this into me in a text message that you're approving this? The transparency in the early years is everything. And I just sat on a podcast not a couple weeks ago, sitting here talking about the same thing. I was so scared to let them know I was making a little bit of money. Like I was out there to do this for education or something, which I was. But I was learning and I was paying for my education. Sure. But I still needed to make a little money at the day.
100%.
So I would be, and that builds distrust immediately. And it's going to drive more questions. And then, because, dude, in those years, I'd be like, why are these guys asking so many questions? Like, did you not see how much freaking work I did?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, nope, they don't. But they do remember that little 10 by 10 area you didn't get because you wanted more money for it. You wouldn't do it until you had this sign. So there is a gray area there, hardcore. But in the commercial GC world, there is no gray area. Right. If you don't CYA, boys and girls, you are hosed. Mm-hmm. They're not looking out for you.
Yeah.
Just their project coming under 100%. Budget.
But for me, if you're that GC and you've got more stuff lined up and you just keep burning every damn bridge you've got with every sub you've had,
they're still out there though, bro. Every single, and I don't understand how they keep getting work. People, stop giving these crap GCs freaking work. Well, they're the cheapest. Well, don't
because
be mad.
They're taking $3,000 from every effing sub on the whole damn job that can't afford it. And when I say $3,000, they're taking $15,000 from the framer. And
I love when the owners. I can't tell you how many projects I've been on, and an owner walkthrough will happen, and I was there. I was the cheapest guy. I'm not saying anything, but I could never understand. They would just come on site. Everything would be wrong. The building, whatever. The material, this. These guys didn't show up on time, and I'm like, why? This is not something I want to do every day.
Yeah.
Why do I keep getting with these, lack for a better word, shitbags, and dealing with the same superintendent that doesn't have a freaking clue what he's doing? He's brand new.
But you get punished for their disorganization. They don't have their shit in a pile.
No.
And so that costs you money around every corner of the entire damn project.
Every single day.
And you can't fight that. You know what I mean? It's too muddied up where you can't be like, well, I tried. It's such a convoluted bullshit by that point that I'm like, you guys don't have your shit figured out at all.
Yeah.
And I'm suffering, day after day.
I'll tell a story right now on that subject. And we are on the billing side of things. You figure out after you miss one or two pay apps, you figure out you have billing meetings in every single month. Like, we've got that locked, sewed up AIA structure, and we can handle whatever size project. But GCs, they'll bring you portals, okay? And once you get going in these larger commercial projects, or a certain GC may just pay Procore to handle their invoicing, and you have to oblige by their portal. Okay, so shout out to Miss Shay in the office. She handles our billing in and out, handles these portals, and then maybe 5 different contractors in a month with 5 different portals on the 20th that she has to hit. And they're all different. There's no helper structure. You can't pick up the phone and call somebody over there and go, hey, I'm having, well, that's, the 20th is the deadline. They're hoping you freaking miss it. So they don't have to pay out on the next month. And she the other day we were in her Tuesday meeting, and she made a reference. She's just like, I cannot figure out this portal, and nobody over there has any idea what I'm talking about. But they're requiring us, and if we don't make it by this date, we're not getting in on this pay app. This job's done. We did it in a 30-day time frame. And she's like, we have to recoup. We got material. And I said, Shay, calm down. We will figure it out. And she walked me through this portal process. Of course, I'm not sitting there going through every one of them. And I was blown away.
Yeah.
I was like, all of this to send you an AIA through email. This builds the AIA for you. Anyways, okay, we oblige. I make a few phone calls, and literally nobody, it was brand new to them. This is like their second month putting it out. And I'm like, guys, well, literally, bank draws on the 22nd, and they were a new contractor, never worked with them before, so I didn't really have any pull leverage or anything else. Got recommended through another contractor, and I was really questioning the whole structure of the industry during this. That's snow on the ground, dude. Like, this a couple months ago, and this is exactly what I'm fighting against. And not only do we got to go through this portal process, now there's 3 approvals in the portal process with 3 different people in the office before it gets ejected out to ownership. And then ownership gets 15 days, and then 20 days, and then back to them in 30. And the commercial game if you want to make money, it's hard. And then after you get everything done, they only pay you 90% of your money, and they hold 10%. And as dirt and pipe guys, my guy, we're the first ones on and off the job.
Yep.
And then we got to wait. If it's this big multifamily, I've waited 2.5 years for 30, 50, 80 grand for them to just finally release it. It's just, that's why literally this show was created, was to warn guys wanting to walk into this, because I wanted it more than anybody.
Yeah.
Dude, I wanted it right now. I wanted all the equipment. I wanted all the jobs. And I'm like, right now. And I wasn't even looking at any of this. Didn't care about any of that problem. Well, the money will just come,
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
Right. Well, and you see, for me, you see what that top number is, and you're like, we got to make money. We can't, it can't cost that much to do that project. And then you get a couple months in, you're like,
Damn, it did.
We screwed up here heavy, and then you get a few of those at the same time. Obviously, for me, being at the size we are, it's me and 2 other guys at the moment, a couple part-time guys, and we end up on, again, you're bidding multiple, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get those phone calls all at once, and you're like, I'm too bad at saying no. Hey, I'm getting better at it, but
entrepreneurs, we're really bad at it. In general.
I'm like, we'll find a way. And we do. We have so far, but you end up so spread, and like we cash flowed all the subs on all those jobs out of pocket, out of the bank.
You were telling me that.
Yeah, and just paid it out, and it wasn't massive, tiny to compared to some of your
at the same time, dude. Cash flow is cash flow.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, we're writing out, I don't know how much on materials, 30 grand on sub, more than that. One check was 30 to sub trucks and, know what I mean, payroll, fuel, all that kind of stuff. And there's so much in the operating account going in that you're like, we'll be okay. We've got what this project's worth. So in theory, if we have in the bank what we bid this project for, we'll be okay. We can't spend. Well, when it costs you more to do the damn project than what you build for it, and you're already going to lose money on the job, and you know what I mean? You can get upside down in a hurry, I guess is what I sum it up as.
If you don't have proper documentation in place and reporting, you won't even know until it's done.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of week 2, this is a little on down the line, but like a WIP report, which is a work in progress report of your estimated costs, and here's your known costs. I know week per week of, hey, this is my screaming problem job right here. Yeah. What happened? And you may go out there and it may not be anything, but we talked about it early. Somebody just may have put the wrong bucket on. Mm-hmm. And we didn't discuss that in our own internal pre-con before we attacked it. Yeah. But you just don't know what you don't know. And we said that, I don't know how many times today, bro, but like literally, we were talking about this 2 days ago, me and the team on Monday. It's like we're spotlighting our problems in quarter 1, start of quarter 2 here, rather than going through the chunk of our year, looking in Q3, Q4 and going, why didn't we do so good this year? I will be right there with you and be the first person to say, when I see $3 or $5 million on that top line, I was like, there ain't no way we ain't making money.
Yeah,
oh, dude, you're telling me I put $3 or $5 or $7 million through this account in a annual period, and you're telling me we didn't make money?
Right.
How?
Yeah,
that doesn't even compute in my damn head. Well, then, then business starts. Excavating, operating, you're working in the business, and then boom, here's all the shit that you need to do right now and work on the business. And you're like, hey, dude, I'm still over here digging ditches. I got time for all that.
Yeah,
and
I just moved dirt.
And they're looking at you like, no, you don't have the time not to do this. Like right now or in 6 months, you're going to be here. And you're like, bro, get out of here. Yeah. No way. And then in 6 months, you're like, driving down the road, it's 9 o'clock at night, you're sweating your balls off, it's 98 degrees still, and you're like, damn, that CPA was right.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm right where he said I was going to be.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I've had the self-realizations and had to make those phone calls and go, hey, sir, I kind of know I didn't listen to you, but I'm sorry. And I got to eat crow here because I'm exactly where you said I was going to be.
Yeah.
Help me out.
Yep. Man, that's it. It's I think you're right to not to try to talk anybody out of it, because if they're like us, they're not gonna listen. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I can't do that. Watch this. I'm like, no, dumbass. I said that too. Okay. I'm not saying you can't. I'm saying pay attention. You know, and cover your tracks. Watch your ass. And
I think a lot of people think I'm a narcissist and just love watching myself on camera. But when I sit here, as you have gotten to know me, I try to talk from experience, dude. I'm not just sitting here spewing a bunch of stuff. I want these guys.
But the reason you don't listen, or you didn't listen to those people, and I didn't listen to those people, is the same reason most of these people won't listen to any. You know what I mean? They don't want to hear warnings. They get out of here. I know what I'm doing, and I'm the same way, and I'm still that way. You know what I mean? Where,
I do.
I'm a lot better at taking advice now, and I appreciate everybody that goes out of their way. Shout out to Drew Gardner out of Alabama. He's in Alabama. People like that, you, Trebo, obviously, you know, and plenty of others that really help. And I don't take on as much of that advice as I hear it all.
Yep.
But some of it I'm like,
I know.
You know what I mean? And
I do.
So I don't agree with you know, I don't agree with everything everybody says. I don't agree with everything you say or what Drew said. You know, Trebo, golly.
That guy.
Trebo's the man. I don't agree with everything Trebo. You know what I mean? I take pieces from everybody.
Yep. You can't agree. He's a wild man. Come on back.
Trebo's something else, man.
Well, let me jump in here real quick before we go on to our next little segment here. One of the main reasons I brought Trent here is he has a pretty good sized following on TikTok and is marketing his business in a different venture, and I wanted to shine some light on that. But man, I don't know if you guys are watching on YouTube or Spotify, but you can see my new gray ropey cap I got on today. Shout out to Blue Collar Performance Marketing. They have been a sponsor, avid sponsor of the show, and I truly can't say enough about Ike and his team. I actually had a 2-hour strategy meeting for the umbrella of what we're trying to do with SciCon and the marketing strategy that we're imploding, exploding all together, all at the one time. But if you're looking for a true blue collar, valuable marketing company that has the knowledge, oh man, I want to do targeted ads, or why don't I have a Facebook, and I don't know how to even start on a website. All those questions that you hear everybody in the Facebook comments tell you, give them a shout at bluecollarperformancemarketing.com, bcperformancemarketing.com/BCB podcast, and you'll get a free, completely free, comped on the podcast show, an audit of your marketing, whether you have a website already or you have a marketing campaign. Ike and his team will sit with you guys and go over what you would like to see and see if he can help you. So give them a shout. Blue Collar. I mean, it just seems to be the running name around here.
I don't know if I had it before you did.
You did, fully did. But shout out to Ike.
Yeah.
Give them a call, get a discovery call, get started over there, and start building a marketing campaign, because that's obviously one of the main reasons I found you, my guy, was here I am on this crazy marketing campaign, have no clue what I'm doing again. And this, it's another business venture almost, if you want to go in that route. But you've got 22,500 on TikTok for the second time in the episode. But talk about why you even started that. Was it a gimmick? Or did you just started doing it for fun? Was it a personal account? Or did you even see any strategy behind it?
No, zero strategy.
Me too.
Early on. I mean, my wife kept telling me about it. I made fun of it. Like, I'm not getting that. And then I ended up, this is when I had the diesel shop. And I just kept noticing, I would start looking stuff up on hers, like on fixes. And I'm like, oh, people are fixing. They're not just dancing. Like, people are working on stuff, and people are like, huh. So I end up getting it, and I'm like, wow, look at that. That guy's fixing that. I can work on this. And then that transitioned into the dirt side. And then, like, Brennan Beggs was one of the first ones on. So I added him, and then we kind of got to talking. And then Starnes, there's all these different people that we started kind of talking to. And we had a couple videos that we throw on there just because. And I'm like, well, that one did good. And then we would post something, you know, and it started growing. And I was like, man, this is cool. Like, this is a pretty cool little network where I can.
And you're starting to build relationships through it.
Yes, with people that would never happen. I would have never heard of them, and I would have never been able to communicate with them. You know? And now, I mean, I hate saying this, TikTok changed everything for us in one way or another.
Yep.
Maybe indirectly, but
I can say our marketing campaign changed everything for what we're doing.
I mean, from my company too, you know, for where we're at, like, it's weird. It's been a weird series of events, but TikTok got me in touch with all those guys. Mm-hmm. We ended up going to Con Expo together.
I can't believe I didn't run into you guys. There's only like 1 million people.
Right.
But
hey, quick side note, maybe people won't think this is funny that it's me. We can edit this out if we need to. No, me and Kyler Robertson, shout out to Kyler, are walking through Con Expo. You're a Canadian, you'll like this. We run into this Canadian couple. I don't even remember how we got to talking. Nope, excuse me, whatever. I'm like, oh, where are you guys from? Yeah, oh, sorry. Hey, sorry. Walk on your own feet, eh? Whatever they said. And so we're talking to them. We're like, where are you guys from? And they're like, oh, Canada. They probably said whatever area. And we're like, oh, really? You know Taylor? Dude, I swear. We were talking about Taylor. It's like, you know Taylor. And they're like, Taylor who? And we're like, Taylor White.
Of course,
like, where's
Ken
he
White.
from? And we look at each other. It's Canada. And they look like,
no, you didn't.
I swear to God. And they look at us like we are the dumb. They're like,
Ottawa, bub. Carp, actually.
Okay, we didn't know or care. We're like, you're from Canada. He's from Canada. You must know each other. And I turned to Kyler and I'm like, brother, that's like if they asked us if we knew Dale from America. Like, sorry, guys. Have a good day.
Intoxication included in that scenario?
Let's say yes.
Assured. Okay.
Okay. Absolutely not. But I'll say
he's actually Mr. Taylor. About 5 hours from where I was born. I was born in Toronto. He's up in Ottawa. He's probably a Senators fan. Yes. That's probably why we haven't spoke yet. Anyhow, short plug. But anyways, you were saying. But TikTok literally changes.
So we went there to Con Expo, because of that we met Trey and Taylor and those guys, and you know, a handful
literally
of others.
everyone.
Yeah, I mean, whoever you wanted to, right? But we had already kind of had some prior connections because we were friends on, or followed each other, whatever. So we met Trey, and then we're in a limo. I told you the story. Everybody knows all these Treybo stories. Nobody knows this one. I've got a little clip. After I told you the story the other day, I found a clip on my phone of this happening. I don't remember exactly what happened, but Trey's walking out of the show with us, and go, whatever the hell we were going to do. And we're like, all right, we'll call the Uber. We ain't running no damn Uber. And he goes, there's a damn limo right there. And there's a guy standing beside the limo, clearly there to pick someone up. All right. Trey goes, we're like, Trey, that's pretty sure that's reserved, bud. No, shit, no, watch this. Walks over there. It's the first time I've known Trey all of about 7 minutes at this point. Starts whipping out $100 bills. And I can't hear, he's just talking to this guy. The guy's like, no, I'm here to whatever. Pulls out the wad. Next thing you know, we're all getting in the limo. And I'm like, this.
In Vegas, buddy.
I was like, this is the G right here. I'll send you that little clip.
Yeah, I'm gonna need that.
But so we're in the limo and we're like, man, we don't want to wait every 3 years for Con Expo. Like, this sucks. I wish we could do something else. So we kind of dreamt up and named it the Treybo Expo that we have every year in April now. This year it's the 25th and 26th.
Get your tickets if you haven't.
Yeah, Treybo Expo, hell of a time. Trey's
maybe sold out.
They did a hell of a job on that whole deal. But that first year it was basically our little group that had the house in Vegas. Trey's guys, maybe a couple, I don't remember exactly how many. And then year 2, which was last year, I mean, you walk into the shop and it's full. I'm outside with like 15, 20 other guys. I thought that was it. Like, I thought that was it. We're just out there walking around equipment and stuff. And like, well, I guess let's make our way into the shop. And we open the door and it's every seat's taken. We're like, holy cow, this is cool, Like, people showed up. So, but that's where we got to hear the GCs talk. He had a couple guys come out, superintendents and whatnot, kind of talk about how to get into commercial work and how they're, what they're looking at.
So key, man.
Yeah, because I'm sitting there like, I guess I was just waiting on that to happen. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know
you got to put yourself
getting
out there.
On bidders lists and you know what I mean? Yeah, putting yourself in front of these people.
That's right.
And that started the process for us to kind of transition into more commercial stuff. Like I said, those first 2 years he was talking, they had
SciTech, you're right.
Reps coming out, or at least Trimble reps, I'm assuming they're SciTech, whatever, talking about, GPS technology. And I'm sitting there like, this is a good time to go to the bathroom or step out, over my head. You know what I mean? I don't need that for pushing ponds or whatever,
Man.
And then a year later, I'm like, oh, like I'm looking forward to, to talking to these people now. And so, but it's just crazy how it went full circle. And like we talked about, getting in connection with people from a long ways away through social media.
Through the same audience.
Yeah.
Like we all share the same audience.
Absolutely.
We're not, I can't say we're trying to capture audience, but we are trying to obviously put content out there for the like-minded individuals that we all try and share and put content out for. Why would we not?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like we were talking about right before we started this, it makes it a small world when that guy, and like I keep mentioning Trey. I had buddies that are like, didn't you say you've met that guy? I'm like it's a big deal.
Yeah,
right?
it's a huge deal.
Yeah, like somebody, my brother was telling me that you've met him, and I'm like, I just got off the phone. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's a big deal. I'm like, yeah, dude. I know all these people because we're all kind of,
You called him 10 minutes before this, and you called him, Trent did, on a random Wednesday. I don't think Trebo even knew that you were coming out here.
No.
And he was on speaker, and Trent hollered at him, and I hollered at him, and he said, y'all both together? And I said, you already know my voice. This is not good. Shout out, though. I mean, and that was so cool, Trebo and Big Trey. I'm glad I got to shine some light on Big Trey because
the man behind it all.
Literally, and showing Trebo and the entire world that folks like me and you that are begging for Trey on the 30 years and 3 decades of knowledge just to share the bits and pieces, just like him standing there at your event, dude, at the skid steer. What did you call that event? I don't think it had a name, did it?
Maybe people need to comment on what we should call it. The idea is,
I think
the shop gets built. You already know it's going to be the blue collar show, blue collar expo. That's what.
Hey.
It's going to be the blue collar expo. All trades welcome. It's mostly going to be dirt, excavation, that type of deal. That one I had broke down to either the skid show or the skid event.
Skid event.
He
was standing there, and I had told Trent that we move everything on our daggum lowboy, and since we've had it, and basically dealing with some issues on the fifth wheel to not drag out the story. And Trebo was standing there, and I was kind of complaining about it. And I was like, yeah, I've been having trouble with this truck and trailer hooking up.
Hell, you did.
Oh, hell, that's just a fifth wheel plate. Just take her off there, yank her, and take her down there, truck, bro. And they'll get you they'll find you a rebuild kit. And I'm like, buddy, I've been dealing with this for 2 weeks, calling manufacturers, distributors. I mean, this is a 2004 trailer that got bought out by another manufacturer.
They overcomplicate it.
And it was a giant nightmare. And I'm like, I wish somebody through this 2-week process of me calling just go, hey, that's just a standard whole fifth wheel plate on there. I don't know.
Right.
Hell, I've only owned a semi a couple of years, driven a bunch of them. But I've never had to maintain, I have in the last couple of years. But in this particular situation,
you're going to be in those deals.
I ain't never had no experience in this. And I don't have a daddy that I can go, hey, well, shout out to Melcher's Mobile. My stepdad came over and unbolted the whole thing and threw it in my truck. But I don't have a daddy that I can turn around and go, hey, what happened in 1980 when the last little boy fell apart? Like, I don't think you do either. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
And so
I've got help, but no, it's not all passed down of what happened the last time. I just bought
you bet.
We haven't owned this machine for 8 years. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what the hell to do here. And that info is priceless when you pull your hair out all night for 4 days in a row.
The relationships in business is everything. And I would encourage you guys that are listening that are like, man, I've thought about starting this TikTok thing, or I've got a really good idea for a podcast that would help
talking
people.
About it.
Dude, just gotta do it. And you're gonna catch hate, everybody in your tiny little town or your big little town, that's usually how they are, coverage area, there's going to be some folks that hate on you. And I've been having to deal with that a little bit myself, not going to lie, for everything that I've been doing. But at the same time, I'm starting to realize that, okay, am I going to stop what I'm doing for these 30 or 50 people when there's 7.5 billion people on this planet?
If you're bettering yourself, who gives a shit what everybody else has to say about it?
Like, and don't get me wrong, everybody's plan strategy about how to get there. We can talk to coaches, and we can talk to people that have done it for 30. We're all going to do it a little differently.
Yeah.
And it's because of it's our own hardened experience and what we've dealt with and the guards and fences we build for our business, personally, whatever it may be, to make sure we don't do it again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, all right, dude. I got one last thing for you.
What you got?
And this one, he's an avid listener. I finally have a listener on this show. How cool is that today? But I ask everybody, man, every blue-collar guy that's just absolutely sick and tired of being stuck in the mud. Maybe it's a guy that's been at the same job for 7 years. Maybe it's the owner that's trying to make that first new purchase. Maybe it's mental. Maybe it's physical. Maybe it's emotional, going through some hard stuff at home, and you just can't capture the right mindset to show up every day and keep going. How do they give us a key takeaway that's helped you do everything that you're doing mentally, man, or physically, but stuck in the mud, dude? How they get out of that mud?
So here,
Do it.
been in a lot of bad situations, right? Like everybody has. And everybody's bad situations are, you know what I mean? My
Yep.
bad situation is way worse than somebody that probably doesn't own a company. Arguable, you know what I'm saying?
I do,
and then
buddy.
I'll call Trey to complain about it, and he's like, "Oh, you know,
That's a Tuesday.
yeah, exactly." Like, you know, so everybody's problem. But what's a big deal? You know, somebody complaining about losing a tire on their car or whatever. It's a huge deal to them, right? This is not fair to me to say that that's no big deal, because
Right.
it would be if I was in that boat, right? So, anyways, I say that to say that I've been in all those situations, and there's times where, like when we had multiple commercial sites going at once and we're getting screwed around on stuff that we can't control, and man, it's running. You were talking about answering to your wife when she's like, "Where's this money?" And man, it takes a toll on your employees, yourself, your wife, your kids, your everything. You know what I mean? I mean, it runs you into the ground.
You know, it's funny, dude. You didn't say yourself in there. And we always, it's like we always, not to cut you off, but it's like we always place ourselves completely last in this equation because we have so many people we're responsible for.
I don't have time for that.
I don't have time to think about my feelings.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. But then, you know, you get to the point where, like, you're so run down. Like, you can't, you know what I mean?
Mentally.
Like, yes. Like, I can't. And I finally got to that breaking point, you know. And when I get in those situations, here's what I started doing. And this is easy sitting right here. It's harder when it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
But you end up in that boat where, like, I'll mourn, so to speak, that situation, right? Like, I'll go through it.
Obsess
let
about
myself,
it.
yeah. Deal with, you know what I mean? Go on for a day or two or three or a week or whatever it takes. I mean, during that most recent process, I mean, there was tears shed, dude.
You
Like,
bet,
I'll be honest, between me and my wife. But, you know, down at the yard, like, just, I don't know
What we're going to do.
Yeah, we tried so, and we were that way in the beginning when we had $20. You know what I mean? Now we're about to lose another 40 grand. You know, and it's like, how did we try this hard and end up? You know, now she's crying because I'm going through this. I'm like, how? Anyways,
Buddy, do I get what you're saying?
yes, man.
I lived it.
And that's the stuff nobody's going to understand, nor should they, right? They won't ever know without going through what we're into. But I'll go through those situations, and they used to be smaller, you know, in hindsight. It's like, why did I care that much about that, right? Eventually, I'll be saying the same thing about this most recent situation. If you're growing, problems get bigger, right? But I'll go through and mourn that situation. Like I said, not make any rash decisions, deal with it for a few days, and then eventually I have to logically look at the situation and say, okay, what are my options here, right? Shut down. And so, like, I have to honestly answer this question to myself a couple times because it got so bad. Do I quit? Do I close the doors? Do I give up? And I have to sit there, you know what I mean? For a couple minutes, and like, don't be prideful. Is that the best option? And maybe it is. But every time I'm like, either keep going or shut her down. And every time I'm like, well, I can't freaking quit at this point, so I just keep moving.
Away from everything changing.
Exactly. It's all up and downhill. If you get a bad call, you're about to get a good call. You know what I mean? So
there's usually a string of bad calls, there's a string of good calls, and it's just up and down, but it's finding that middle ground and keeping everybody level, which sounds so easy sitting there. It's so easy.
But every time I talk to, like I said, like Trebo, if we're going through, I just keep on keeping on, just keep going. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I get it, but that's really it. You know what I mean?
It really is.
Like when you're like, how do you get through those times? Dude, you just keep going. And that's so easy to say.
Do it.
Yeah. Like you just put another foot in front of the other, and if you're going to fail, you're going to go down swinging. We might go under. As Trebo says, I'll be back in business the next day.
That's right.
I mean, I don't know. That's what it boils down to me. It's so easy to sit here and say, you just keep going, but that's all there is to it, right? Learn. Everybody talks about hard work. Yeah, that's a given. That's a prerequisite.
100%.
Hard work alone won't get you there. Network, learn, give a shit. You know what I mean? And work your ass off. And
relationships.
Just keep going. Yeah, absolutely.
Relationships are absolutely everything. Having those influences, like you've mentioned, to not even really just vent to, man.
Yeah.
And them just not really give you any keep on keeping on. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you're like, did you just hear what I said? Yeah. I'm fixing to go bankrupt. And they're like, psh, boy, you don't know even close to bankrupt. Get your ass out there and go back to work. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's just that comfort and the confidence over just decades of just keep going.
They've seen those situations, and they seem small to them. They don't have that much empathy because they forgot that. You know what I mean? Like, they went through that too, and they care, but like, dude, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're going to survive. You have this far. So it reminds me real quick that there's a TikTok. I don't know if you've seen it. I don't remember the guy's name. I'm going to butcher it, but he says he's talking to his mentor. He's owed $1 million. He's down, he's down bad, whatever. They've refinanced. They've done everything they can. They're about to go bankrupt. And he's talking to one of his mentors, and he's like, tells him the story, and he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And he said, the guy looks at me and laughs and says, son, if you're not worried about going bankrupt about every 3 years, you ain't doing shit anyway.
Justin Win Waller. I know exactly.
Yeah, Justin Waller. That's what it is. Yeah.
That's my guy, bro. Where you at, King?
I've watched that clip like in some lows. You know what I mean?
Oh.
And because right after he says it, he goes, I can't explain it. Or he said, it's not the answer I wanted, but I just felt better. And that's so true. Like every time I think of that, I'm like, and like I said, what you just said about Trey is the same way of like, dude, either like that's part of the growth, right? Like if you're not worried about going bankrupt, you're not doing shit.
You're not even, if the IRS or you ain't going bankrupt or you're not pushing the envelope.
Yeah.
Like literally. Now, there's so many probably 30-year business snooties that would probably sit here and tell you otherwise. But for a guy like me and you, brother, that had nothing starting out and said, I'm going to do this. There ain't no other freaking way for us, right, dog?
Right.
And it's not like the bank going to help a little old dirt guy like we are a screaming red flag for any bank we walk into.
In the beginning, didn't they?
Oh, they still are. Let me tell you, you can have a stack full of backlog contracts, $3-5 million worth of work, but they still get theirs. I'll tell you that.
Oh.
I'm not a big fan of the banks. I'll just tell you that. But you need them. They have their place. Anyways, guys, I hope we've kind of been absolutely all over the place.
Oh, absolutely.
We kind of knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
But it was entertaining. Will? Wasn't it? Was it entertaining, buddy?
That was great.
And we have covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, we have.
Come back.
I guess we're gonna have to do probably a part two. Part two probably come at some point this year. I'd like to do a couple of sessions at Con Expo next year. We'll get you on here before then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always down to come back and hang out for the day again too. So,
dude, that was a blast.
Mm-hmm.
I needed that, I think, more than anybody.
Had fun, man.
Well, dude, till next time, guys, I hope we brought you some value. Hope you learned something, picked up a little bit of insight on something we said today.
Yeah, hopefully some of this. Hopefully Hopefully it doesn't sound like we're just dragging on, but it's stuff we're passionate about. At least give us that. I'm trying to help, hopefully somebody takes one piece off of that and run with it.
Guys, till next time, every single week comes out 5 a.m. on the website. Don't have to have any subscriptions, bluecollarbusinesspodcast.com. Or if you have a streaming subscription already, we should be on any streaming platform that you're already on. If you wouldn't mind, give us a rating and a follow. And while you're on the website, hit subscribe on that newsletter so you know every single time when we're bringing an episode. And if you miss it, you get to read about it. So till next time, Trent, thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely.
And we will catch you guys next time. Be safe.
Appreciate it.
If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to give it a like, share it with the fellers, check out our website to send us any questions and comments about your experience in the blue collar business. Who do you want to hear from? Send them our way and we'll do our best to answer any questions you may have. Till next time, guys.